A very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining our Homeopathy 24/7 podcast. We are going to be speaking to an array of international guests who will share their knowledge and experiences of homeopathy with you. We will discuss all types of subjects such as remedies, symptoms, and stories of health. No matter where you are with your homeopathic journey, we aim to inspire you on your quest to natural health and living. The podcast is brought to you by Mary Greensmith, the founder of Homeopathy 24/7, which is a global platform connecting you with a homeopath wherever you are in the world, 24 hours a day. So let's get started with today's chat. Please welcome Mary Greensmith.
Hello, it's so lovely to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really pleased to be able to welcome back Ann Lovatt. Ann, it's lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you too, Mary. Thanks for having me here. And yeah, talking about quite an exciting remedy for me, I think.
Yes, because of course you are one of our homeopaths on the team Homeopathy 24/7, and we're going to talk about Argentum Nitricum. Is that right?
We are indeed. And if it's all right with you, I'd like to compare it very slightly with Aurum Metallicum, because to my mind, that's a really lovely way to remember this remedy. We have the silver tongue of silver, the basis of arginate, Argentum Nitrate, and we have the golden heart, if you like, of Aurum. And there's so many nice comparisons with those two. So I will touch on a little bit about Aurum, more just as a metal, just as kind of an introduction, I suppose. And if that's okay with you.
Yes, of course. That's a really nice way of doing it. So we'll obviously bring in that we're talking about gold and silver, effectively. Yeah. But first of all, tell me, why did you choose arginate?
Well, I feel a very strong affinity to this remedy because I'm a performer. My original career and still ongoing career is as a professional violinist, as you know. So this is a remedy I've taken myself many, many times because it's all about performance anxiety to me. That's kind of the key of it. Okay. And yeah, I thought it would be nice to just do this compare and contrast with the gold, because it's just cements it for me. It's silver is kind of the yin to gold's yang, if you like.
Yes. Yeah.
And this, can I just talk about those qualities for a minute?
Yes.
So silver, you have symbolism with the moon, with changeability of the moon cycle, and then you've got the reflective nature of the silver itself. There's an intuitive quality, historically, symbolically, to silver. There's a cooling sort of quality as well. And as all metals have, and this is so important in homeopathy, all the metals have such an important structure and order. And of course, with this one, very much performance. And on the opposite side, with the gold, we've got, opposite to the moon, we've got the sun, of course, and the warmth of gold, the deep vitality, but also connotations with royalty, regal. Gold is so regal, isn't it? And it's all about the ego, much more. So you have the yin of silver, and then you have the yang of gold, and very much, I think, a female masculine kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So this remedy is not actually just silver. So it's silver nitrate.
Okay.
And it's a chemical compound. It's actually very potent, very caustic. It's a solid, and it's colorless, odorless. It's crystalline, and it's very poisonous. And it has an explosive sort of quality when it's put together with silver, so it amplifies the energy. So the remedy Argentum Metallicum, which is just pure silver, is a much more reserved version of this remedy. So when we have the nitrate added to the silver, we've got these incredibly, like explosive quality comes to it. So it's much more effervescent. It's much more reactive, much more expansive, and yet it sits on this compound sits on this cool, reflective silver. And silver, used in ancient medicine as an antimicrobial, of course, as well. And actually, I think the first there was a Dr. John Sims who used it back in 1852 for the very first sutures were made in silver, because he realized that he was sewing up wounds with silks and other things that he could see were causing inflammation. So he decided to try silver, which is amazing. And even before we knew anything about microbes, silver was being used to line ancient vessels, and the antimicrobial properties there. It's always had this healing connotation, which is really historically really lovely. And I think we can't really talk about all these things about the metal itself without mentioning the very, very great homeopath Jan Scholten. And I've got two of his books, which Homeopathy and Minerals and Homeopathy and the Elements, which is a much bigger tome, this one.
Okay.
Incredible work he has done for us, absolutely amazing. And he puts the remedies into the context of the periodic table. So if you're studying homeopathy, this is definitely a man to research and look up. And within the periodic table, he connects every element to stages of human development. And silver, it comes into series 4. And the themes of series 4 are creativity, communication, performance, of course, and need to express themselves. So this is really, really at the heart of this remedy. And there's kind of a darker side as well, where there's often a feeling of being judged, being watched, being scrutinized, and that fits so perfectly with exam anticipatory nerves, or any anticipatory nerves, actually. But when you go to talk in a big room to a big conference or something, you might be feeling that this great anticipation. Are you going to be good enough? Is your performance going to be right? And all the preparation you've done, is it going to be good enough? And Argent, it really does have this feeling at the heart of it that everything actually probably will fail, and it's a huge thing to get over.
Yeah.
And so Scholten is definitely worth a good look. It's just amazing what he says about the remedies and the nature of them, and gold is very much more about a leadership, legacy, responsibility. It's series 6 in the periodic table. It's more about power, position, ego. They still have anticipatory fear, actually, but it's fear of failure on a grand scale. It's like they hold the weight of the world. People who have an Aurum personality. And there's a phrase, which I think is really lovely, that to me completely sums up Argent, and that's lost in anticipation.
Useful.
So, sorry, you want? I'm talking too much.
Yes, no. Go on and tell us more about this lost in anticipation, because it really does sum up why we might be wanting to use this remedy.
Yeah. Well, maybe I can relate this to music, if that's all right, because that's what I know most about in this context. So when I play my violin, which I just happen to have one here, of course, the strings are wound with silver. So straight away we have silver in the instrument, really bright sound. Silver enabled the modern instrument makers to make a much bigger instrument because the tension can be much greater, and therefore the sound can go further. The Baroque instruments were made with gut strings, which are much softer, much more intimate. So straight away I'm playing a high performance piece of machinery. And well, I'm going to just play a tiny snippet of something. And really, for people watching, I think maybe have a look at the preparation just before I start to play, and then I'll talk about. I'll just play just for a few seconds and see. We'll talk about it in a second. So I'm stopping there because I wasn't very happy with what I just did. And there you go. That's a perfect arginate.
Yeah.
I played a bomb note, and I sort of thought, oh, I can't go on. But when I started playing, I took a breath and I prepared.
Yeah.
And at that moment, my body has to be calm.
Okay.
My breath has to be calm. Yeah. If I'm not calm, what happens when people are not calm and they need arginate is they tremble. So my bow might do this. The bow's a very springy thing.
Yes, yeah.
And so it needs a lot of control. So again, control is very much about what this remedy is about. So it's just a perfect way to explain how you're in fight or flight because you're so anxious. You're really lost in that anticipation. What if, how good am I going to be? What are people going to think of me? Will it be good enough? Will my whole career end on this night? But finding a way through it, taking a breath and trying to calm the sympathetic nervous system. It's all about that, really. The nerves, the affinity with the nervous system is huge in this remedy, and the gut. So people feel their nerves in their stomach, and there's often diarrhea. So just before you go on stage, you're going, oh my goodness, I must run to the loo. There's also constipation in the remedies. There's that opposite. But arginate loves to shine. There are often really irrational fears. So I've practiced my violin for 40 years. I've played all over the world, and I don't need to really be too worried about making a mess of things. But still, it matters to me. It really does matter to me that it's right. So that's a bit of an irrational fear, and irrational fears go right through this remedy. There's very fixed irrational fears, like you might go to the top of a high place and feel almost impulsive, wanting to jump. That's very strong in this remedy. What are the other things I've spoken about? Trembling, weakness, instability. Oh yes, there's sensory perceptive changes in this remedy too. So running through the physical side of things, we talked about the diarrhea, the mucous membranes. There's a huge connection to the gut and lots of gut symptoms. But there's also this strange, rare and peculiar that the parts of the body might feel expanded. So in the headache, the eye might feel like it's huge, or the head might feel like it's bound up, or that it's in a vice. That's a really good clue through to arginate. The body's in a vice. Any space of any sort seems to be an invitation to feel trapped. Going outside in an open space, a lot of agoraphobia, flying, all sorts of issues with space and perception. And I'm aware I'm probably going on a bit too much about this.
No, absolutely. It's so important because we need to understand the depth of this remedy, but also the trauma, effectively, of this remedy. Because with this anticipation, with this worry before something happens, we see a lot of symptoms, don't we? And we see with arginate the energy becoming much more intense, opposed to Gelsemium, where it kind of, you go quiet, and it's very different. So I think this intensity is something that we need to explore.
Yeah. Interestingly, it's a good asthma remedy. And again, asthma's quite an extreme pathology. Asthma can be terrifying. And the asthma in arginate is better for walking and better for movement. For motion is one of the main modalities as well. So again, if you're waiting to go on and talk to a big audience, then and you're pacing and your tummy's a bit off, that's a really, really good indication. And I always just say to people, there's a great TED talk on Wonder Woman, to stand in the toilets with your shoulders up and your head up and feet apart and open the body. There's been lots of really interesting research done on what happens to the hormones when you open the body as opposed to sitting, hunched up. It's incredible the difference that can make. So I often tell my patients, if they're feeling like this, there's not just take a remedy. It's like, think about how you prepare your body. So it's really important. And that overactivity, the motion thing, that also goes into sleep. There's insomnia from an overactive mind. And there's also quite a bit of pus. There's pink eye with pus. There's some deep, I haven't really looked deeply into the intestinal symptoms actually, but I would imagine that it's probably a good remedy for something like diverticulitis. And I stand corrected if that's wrong, but a lot of chronic inflammation of the gut, constipation and diarrhea, they all go towards a really volatile, nasty mix of potential pathologies. And the other thing that's quite interesting about this is that there's clearing your throat, which I do a lot of actually. Excuse me. So the mucous membrane, again, it's a really key part of the remedy. And so if you're going to speak, that might be a bit of a compulsive thing. It's also a nervous thing that you do because you're about to do something you're a little bit unsure of. And that can happen even when you're just in public and you have to talk to someone you don't like very much, or you don't feel very confident with them. And you might find yourself clearing your throat. And the sore throat of arginate is very red, very sore. There can be spasms of the esophagus as well, and there can be really big indurated tonsils. So I think there's a bit of hardness and holding, which you kind of expect in a structurally orderly metal remedy as well. What should I talk?
It's
something about the modality. So
yes, because it's just such a lovely remedy for people to have in their first aid kit, because whether themselves might have an instance where they're going to need this remedy. It might be just before you need to make a difficult phone call. It might be just before you're going for an interview. It might be, as you say, going for a driving exam or some other exam, or you're performing on the stage. But it might be that somebody you're with doesn't want to go in and go to something that they're just about to go with. So let's talk about how we differentiate this remedy from other remedies and the different modalities we might be looking out for.
Well, I think it does come back to that big connection with the gut to me, and the slightly explosive nature of the nitric acid. Interestingly enough, nitric acid also has really splintery pains in the throat, which arginate has. It's to do with the overall feeling. And if someone was absolutely panicking, they were hysterical, they thought they were going to die, they absolutely could not go on stage because they just couldn't do it, then it would be aconite, which is a much more acute feeling for remedy. And you talked about gelsemium, where the fear is more inward. There's a lot of trembling. There's a lot of cold up and down the spine. There are really strong characteristics for all these remedies, and Ignatia, for example, can also be quite good if there's a lot of anxiety and fear. But Ignatia is a bit more hysterical. It's a flower remedy, so it's more sensitive. It's more likely to be really tearful and then laughing the next. And they're just incredibly different. Arginate, it's just so much about having to do well and really deep down believing that they can't do well, and that there's this quite a negative thing inside saying it doesn't matter how well I've prepared, it's not going to happen. It's just getting over that hurdle. And then often when you do get on with the job, you find you're fine because you have done the work and you begin to flow, and it's okay. So it's all about the anticipation, and I think it has anticipatory anxiety more than any other remedy in the repertory, to my mind.
Tell me a little bit about those instances. We talked about performance as well, where going somewhere we might be nervous about. Let's talk for a minute about how we could take this remedy. How would we be prescribing Argentum Nitricum?
Well, I often get asked about remedies for when people have gone on holiday this time of year and they're about to get on a flight. So fear of flying is one of the major instances, because you're out of control, you're in a box high up in the air, anticipation, what might happen, it's huge. So fear of flying is one of the big things. And that links back to what I said earlier about the sensory sort of perception issues that this remedy has, where they often feel trapped wherever they are. So they might be actually out in the open or in a tunnel or in an aeroplane. Perfect. They can't get out. And it comes down, I think, to control, which is very, very much a mineral remedy order structure control thing. And yeah, so fear of flying is a big one. And yeah, you have to definitely have the toilet nearby if you're really suffering with an arginate type of anticipatory anxiety, because the stomach's probably going to be off of it too.
Okay.
And of course, what you can't do, and we mentioned modalities, I don't think we went through them, but motion is one of the ones that helps. So pacing helps. And of course, you can't do that on a plane. You are completely stuck in your seat.
Yeah.
Hard pressure is good. If you have a headache, hard pressure. And yet one of the headache symptoms is that vice-like pain, but pressure is good. Cold air, so cold, fresh air. Again, you can't get that on an airplane. There's every sort of worst case scenario for an arginate person. And the things that make it worse is heat, sweets, stress, of course, nighttime, often bad, and it's sometimes seen as a left-sided remedy. So sometimes things happen on the left, but that's not always the case, and often feel better lying on the right-hand side. But yeah,
it's such a beautiful remedy, isn't it? And it's a remedy that it's just so useful in so many instances. If there's one thing that you would like people to be taking away with them after listening to us today, and of course we're going to link to, because I know that you've got extra information, you've written up a lot about this remedy, so we've got some good links for people to go to. But what is the one thing you want them to remember?
I think it's that one sentence: lost in anticipation. That's where they are. It's just all about that. It's all about the anticipation. Yeah, that's the key keynote.
It is, absolutely. And thank you so much. It's been so lovely to talk.
Pleasure. Lovely to be here. Thanks, Mary.
I do hope you've enjoyed these episodes, and I do hope you can subscribe to our channels. Now, there are various ways for you to listen to our podcast or watch it on video on YouTube. So whether it's iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube, please do subscribe and please do leave us a review. If you leave us a review on these platforms, then more people will see our podcast. We just want more people to share the joy of homeopathy. It's a choice that everybody should know about. Please do everything you can to help us help more people.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and look forward to listening to our next one. Please don't forget to follow our podcast on your chosen channel, and please do leave us a review so we can continue to share homeopathy with as many people as possible. If you do have any questions, please do reach out to us on any of our social platforms mentioned in the show notes. We at Homeopathy 24/7 hope to empower you on your natural health journey.